And welcome back. We have the one and only, the Big Adam. What's up, bro?
Not too much. How's everybody doing? How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing fantastic, dude. I'm glad to have you. And it's like, when I found out you're off on father love time at work, I was like, let's get him on the show. Because usually you're like a working man.
Yeah, I'm a workaholic. That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
I like to smoke cigars and I work my ass off.
But you work your ass off so much that it cuts into the smoking cigars.
Oh, it does. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Compared to what it was like during COVID, where
we all just sat around and smoked cigars.
7 nights a week from 6 p.m. till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wasn't that the life? I'm like, let's have another pandemic. Can we have another pandemic? Let's do that again.
Right?
I want to hang out and just smoke.
You know what the sad part is, though?
What?
The job I'm in now doesn't matter if we get another pandemic.
Oh, really?
I'll still have to go to work. Yeah. I work in med supply.
So what does that mean? You're needed?
I would be considered a mandatory worker.
Wow. Well, we had it once and we enjoyed it. Now,
absolutely.
All good things must come to an end.
Yeah, I will admit the 4 or 5 months that I was out of work, that was a little much for me, but I'm glad to be working again.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, we had a little bit of a time when we were like the COVID, you can't be doing this, can't be doing that, but it's all lifted and we're all doing our thing. I never was a stay-home employee, you know what I mean? But we did have some times that we were able to. Anyway, man, so in case everybody, or if you don't know Adam, so Big Adam has been around since the beginning of Cigar Talk. I mean, like, he's one of the first dudes on social media I connected with. In fact, him and his brother were going to do a show, and y'all did, like, 2 episodes?
No, I think we recorded 6 or 7 shows. I think we released only 4 of them.
Okay.
Some of them were going to be like 2 or 3 part episodes.
Gotcha.
That we were going to try to release one after another, but COVID hit.
And so everybody knows, though, like, your podcast was going to be about fishing rods, right?
No,
I just mess with you, man.
No, I'm sure if you talked to Kyle, he would have wanted to do fishing rods.
Yeah,
I mean, shit. Even my actual brother would have wanted to do.
But who wants to talk to Kyle?
Right. Some days. Some days.
It
is funny to see what kind of shit his kids get into, though.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? I mean, the dude's got skill sets. Like, first he was making these spices that were phenomenal.
Oh, dude, they're amazing.
And now he's doing lures.
Yeah. And those came out amazing, too. I bought probably the first 2 or 3 of them that he released.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And one of them said that had a slight defect. I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, I can't see any fucking defects on here.
Really? So you guys know, in the Discord, there's a dude named Kyle that lives in Nebraska, and he makes lures. So if you're interested in checking out these lures, come to the Cigar Talk Discord. There's a link in the show notes about what it is, and it's a community. Like, I think we have one of the best communities there are. You know what I mean? Guys from all over the country. Guys from all over the country. And they're just
all over the world.
Yeah. Well, yeah. All over the world. You think about Pete.
Because you got Schmidt. How did I get here?
Yep. I think that's Peter.
No, that's one of Peter's buddies.
Oh, I don't know that dude.
Yeah.
No, so that. Whoa. What's his name?
His name on Discord is How Did I Get Here?
Ah, okay. I thought maybe I was going to be confused because, Peter has been saying a bunch of stuff in the Discord lately, and he changed his name, and so I was like, I thought you were telling me that was his friend, and I was like, oh, all this time I thought I was ignoring Peter.
No.
Oh,
But
so, dude, think about it, dude. You've been like instrumental in Cigar Talk one way or the other for the last 4.5 years. Can you believe that, dude?
yeah, I started listening, I want to say somewhere around episode 10.
You were
I
just like a
started
glutton
listening.
for punishment. You were like, all right,
Oh, yeah.
I want to hurt my ears for an hour.
It was shortly after I think Brian hopped on as co-host.
Oh, okay. Well, that was actually episode 16, I believe.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it was probably right around 15, 16, somewhere around there then.
Gotcha. And then we had started talking on Instagram, hooked up several times on video chats and stuff, and got to know each other. I mean, that's the beauty of the cigar community. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The rest of it's all whatever. Like, I'm not into all the other parts of the cigar stuff with the world. You know what I mean? It's like, for me, it's just the community. And yeah, there's cigars out there I love, and there's cigars out there that they think they're okay. And then there's some out there that I think suck. But, you know, I'm not the cigar aficionado of the world. I'm just a normal dude, just like everybody else out here. We all have our journeys.
Absolutely.
And how long have you been smoking cigars, Adam?
So I started occasionally 2010 when I turned 18. I went to, like everybody else, I went to the gas station. I got a pack of backwoods and I started smoking backwoods.
Wow, how was that? You know, I didn't start that far back.
It was fucking terrible.
I mean, I've never even seen one, dude.
Just picture something like John Wayne would used to smoke, the little tiny things with the fucking with the little bit of tobacco sticking out the end and all of that. It was roughly around the same size.
Oh.
And then or Clint Eastwood smoked the little stuff. He would smoke the Toscanos more than anything else.
Yeah. Now, have you ever smoked a Toscano?
I have. I don't like them.
It's not that I don't like them. It's just a completely different experience for me.
Yes.
It's like, I don't. When I smoke one, it's not like, oh, that's nasty. It's a completely different experience.
Right, because they're fire cured.
Yeah, they're like little bricks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no cushion.
Right, exactly.
So I've smoked them maybe 4 or 5 times. It's just never been that thing for me. And like, you know, I like to drink bourbon with my cigars. Yeah, on occasion.
I didn't realize that about you, Rob.
I don't tell a lot of people that I drink a little here and there. I'm a tea sipper. But the Toscanos and bourbon just don't really work for me.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like that. It's not making this any more pleasurable.
No, not at all. But I went to my uncle one day and I said, "Hey, I bought some cigars. You want to try one?" And he's like, "Sure. What do you got?" I'm like, "Backwoods." He's like, "Come back when you got a real fucking cigar."
And you were like, "But this is a cigar." And you're, "No, get out."
And I'm like, so what should I try? He's like, "If you want to smoke cigars, start off with the Cuba Cuba from Drew Estate."
You know what?
From Acid.
I've heard that is a really good starting point. I've never smoked one, but that's what I heard.
To me, it was, like he said, it was the perfect thing to start with. Because unfortunately, yes, you do get that infused sugary tip. But if you think about it, the acids are still premium tobacco. The Cuba Cubas still go up here in Mass. They still go for around $12 a stick. And
all the, I mean, really, when you get down to it, all the Drew Estate tobacco's quality tobacco.
Yeah.
You know, it's not what I smoke, but I just don't like anything that's other than natural tobacco.
Right.
And I was a
So
cigarette smoker for a long, long time back in the day. And one of the things that I hate about cigarettes is they're full of chemicals. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And going
Oh
to
yeah.
cigars later on in life, I had not smoked for several years when I took up cigar smoking. But also, cigars not smoking. It should be called cigar puffing.
Right.
You
I
know what I
agree with
mean?
you 100%, Rob.
Because when people say, "Oh, you smoke cigars," I'm like, "Well, kinda. I mean, really, we just puff on them. We're not smoking them,
Yeah.
but that's what they call it." So I'm like, you know what? Let's call it cigar puffing. I'm a cigar puffer.
Right.
You want to be a
But
cigar puffer?
I love being a cigar puffer.
You know what? Let's get new shirts that say cigar puffer on them. That'd be fun. You walk in,
Right.
I'm a cigar puffer.
I'm not a cigar smoker because I don't actually smoke them.
Yeah, but I do know a few people that inhale, and it's not good for you.
I do too.
That's like, yeah,
Yep.
I'm not that much of a man, but I think I would also die soon.
Right. I have a buddy of mine. His dad will inhale a cigar, and he also does dip, but he doesn't spit it out. He swallows it.
Yeah, that's how my dad was.
And I'm like, are you really sitting? Like, you're not spitting any of that shit out? He's like, nope, I got a cast iron gut. I said, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, my dad was that way. It was like for years he carried around a bottle, little plastic bottles, spit in. And then one day he didn't have it. I'm like, where are you spitting at? And he's like, I quit spitting. I was like, damn. So tell everybody, you're a new dad, man.
I am a new dad.
First time dad, got a big dude.
Yep. May 31st, Edward John was born at 10:44 at night.
Nice.
In Orlando, just to piss you off, that's 22:44.
Boom. And now Orlando's like, is that morning, noon, afternoon? What? So, no, congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How long you get off for the kid thing?
So I get 12 weeks.
Oh, are you
paid.
serious? Nice.
Oh, I'm dead serious. Yep. One of the perks about working where I work at.
That's a great benefit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They used to give us 8 weeks, but according to
If
them,
you get twins, do you get 24 weeks?
no.
Oh.
Nope.
I'm always looking for loopholes.
Hey, me too. I thought about getting 4 separate chicks pregnant, so that way I didn't have to work at all and still get paid all year long.
Yeah, get 4 women and just, you got to have it like every 3 months you're having a kid.
My wife wasn't too thrilled about that idea, though.
Ah, well.
I'm like, well, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah. They're not going to go for all of our ideas. Anyway, so how's it been being a dad, man? First, how old is he now?
He is almost a month old.
So how's that been, dude? Like, I can't even remember what that was like.
It's different. It's different because now I just don't get to think about myself anymore.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you know what? That never changes. Never.
No, especially now. It's like, all right, I got this little dude now that I want him to have a better life than I had.
It changes your whole perspective of the world.
It does. It really does. And I love my father. I love my mother. Unfortunately, my mother's a narcissist, so I've kind of stepped away. Yeah, I've distanced myself from her because, Rob, I deal with severe depression and severe anxiety.
Yep.
Just from some of the trauma that I had growing up.
And you lost your brother.
I lost my brother to an unfortunate drug overdose, weed laced with fentanyl. So that kind of put a damper on things too. So it's
well, it's a lot to deal with. That's a lot of tragedy, traumatic.
Yeah. That year, 2019 when I lost my brother from December 18th, from December 2018 to December 2019, I went to 44 wakes and funerals.
Wow. 44.
44.
Wow.
I averaged one every 8 days.
That's crazy, man. So, like when you have depression and those are, I mean, that's the event that you're doing every week.
Mm-hmm.
That plays a toll on you.
Oh, it does. And you know what? I was very fortunate to have the wonderful support of my wife. At the time, she was my girlfriend, and her family. Her family. It's kind of fucked up to say that her family treated me better than my family did a lot growing up.
Now, is that based on that you had depression or just in general?
Just in general, I think once I got regulated on the depression and the anxiety meds, it kind of opened my eyes to see like, oh wait, this is how a family actually acts around one another. Like, I moved in with my wife in May of 2019. I think it was 2019. And
Now, when you say you moved in with your, at that time, I guess, fiance?
my girlfriend at the time.
So
she
your
was my girlfriend.
But you didn't just move into her house. You moved into her family's house.
I did. I moved in with her mom and her stepfather.
Yeah.
And it was weird because growing up, when I would go to bed at night, I used to live near the ghetto. The ghetto was a quarter mile away from my house. So it was not uncommon for me to hear gunshots going to bed, sirens going all hours of the night, drag racing right on the main road.
And so everybody knows you're in like the Boston area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when he says
closer to Providence.
Okay. So
closer to Rhode Island.
And, you know, just so you have an idea, there's a lot of crime in some of those areas.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's heroin. Taunton for the longest time was known for its heroin.
So let me ask you this. Did you ever have an encounter with someone that, like, you had an opportunity to go into that lifestyle?
I did.
And
multiple times.
Really? So they're like, hey, man, you should, like, is that how did they approach you? Like, how'd they ask you?
They never asked me. It was one of those things that I knew they were doing it. It was really, all I had to do was just go up and be like, hey, I want to try that.
Gotcha.
And they would have been like, okay, here you go.
And so was it ever a temptation to do that, or you just always knew that was nothing you wanted to do?
As far as heroin goes, that was nothing I wanted to do.
Oh, no, not heroin. I just mean that whole crime life.
Oh, I was a fucking cokehead for a long time.
Yeah, but you weren't a dealer. You were just a user.
Right. No, I couldn't be a dealer.
Yeah.
I would use more than I would sell.
That doesn't go well. That's not a good business model.
No, not at all. But I was
we
dealing
keep
with the
ordering
depression.
more product, but we're making less money.
Adam, where the hell is my money?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a short-lived career. So growing up though, you made the choices to go away from that lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, I was looking up some of the kids that I went to school with. And out of the 10 kids that I went to school with that I looked up, 9 of them were dead.
Wow. Because they took the other path.
Right, absolutely.
And I mean, so
they grew up.
At a young age, were you aware that if I take that path, it's going to be a bad path? Or, I mean, were they like making it like glamorous? Like, hey, look what we're doing. We're buying all this stuff.
So I was actually pretty lucky. I I only had to deal with that group of people till the 8th grade, and then I went to the school with all the rednecks.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a
Yep.
very see. I mean, like, I don't know what crew that you would run with. Like, the Rednecks is not the crew I would picture you hanging out with.
Rob, if you actually came up here and visited with us, you would see I'm a whole lot more redneck than you actually think.
See, it's just your accent. Is there rednecks
Yeah.
that have your accent?
Yeah. Oh yeah. For the longest time, my summers, I would actually go around with a couple of my buddies and go tractor pulling.
No way.
Yeah.
Do you know that whenever I was probably 5 or 6, we would go to family reunions at a place called Snyder, Texas, and it was in a big metal barn with a concrete floor. It was summer, so it must have been like 150 degrees, but it was also part of a big fairground, and so there was always these tractor pulls. And whenever I was 5, tractor pulls are not what they are now.
No.
They were just regular tractors.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
People showing off is like, oh, I bought this John Deere. Look what I can do.
Yeah. But for a while, me and my buddies were fucking cooking moonshine, seeing who made better moonshine than everybody else.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a
So-
skill set.
It is.
And that
It's
doesn't
very-
and it doesn't seem that like people from up around Boston would have steel skills.
A lot more than you actually think.
Wow. See, you always think Kentucky, Tennessee, area.
Yeah.
So, when did you decide I'm going to steer clear of that lifestyle and I'm going my own way?
It was really probably 2015.
So not
fairly
that long
recent.
ago.
No, fairly recent if you think about it.
Yeah,
2015, that was 8 years ago.
That 8 years ago, you were like, I'm going to be in the mafia or I'm going straight.
It was,
Because you look like a dude that could be in the mafia.
well, I'm still kind of the go-to guy if you need somebody to scare the shit out of.
Right. I mean, you're a big dude.
So, yeah. So, going back a little bit before, I was in a metal band in high school and 3 or 4 years outside of high school.
What was the name of your band?
And it was Recite the Raven.
Recite the Raven.
Yes, after Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven.
Gotcha. So, are you aware that I was in a band?
Yes.
I was a singer in a band. This was in the 80s, and the name of our band was Angel Train.
Nice.
So go
What
ahead.
kind of music?
Like rock and roll, like Guns N' Roses, that type of rock and roll.
Cool. So, going back to what we started the conversation with earlier, is I'm a workaholic, and everything I had was tour grade. So I spent thousands of dollars on my rig for my bass and everything. Then we had just released our first full-length album.
No way.
Yeah, we were actually In Vogue Records. It was In Vogue or it was Metal Blade A&R. I forget who it was exactly. We sent the album to them to have them check it out, and they're like, "Dude, we wish you would have sent this to us like 2 months ago. We just finished signing a contract with somebody else. We think you would have been a better fit." So I can at least say that we almost made a deal with, I forget who it was. It was Metal Blade or In Vogue Records, one of the two.
Wow,
And
that's
I'm like,
awesome,
"Fuck."
dude. So, what happened to the band, man?
So I think it was 2013. I got kicked out of the band just because I was working too much.
You weren't making time for the band.
No, exactly. And the part that sucked was I was getting ready to leave the band, I wanted to do it on my own. I wanted to get a couple of shows done under the album, and then I was going to be like, hey guys, I'm done. We did the album release show, and then I broke my ankle. And I broke my ankle shortly after that show, and I called them, told them I wasn't able to come to practice. They gave me a phone call, and they're like, yeah, unfortunately, we got to kick you out.
And I mean,
I'm like,
you understood though.
yeah, I was dealing with the depression and the anxiety. I was a wreck. I'm like, I wanted to do this on my own, blah, 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 blah. I didn't talk to the guys for a year or two. And then one of them hits me up and they're like, hey, I just want to make sure that we're cool. Like, I want you to come by. Nate's moving to Florida with his girlfriend. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll come by. We cleared the air that night. The two vocalists are still my best friends to this day. I was actually the justice of the peace for both of their weddings.
Oh wow! So
And,
you marry people too?
Yeah, I
That's
am
cool.
I am an actual ordained minister.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's kind of fucking scary, isn't it, Rob?
That is a little, I don't know about all that, but hey, rock and roll.
So I was actually kind of like the bodyguard for everybody's girlfriends when they would go to the show because they wanted to be right up next to the stage. And metal,
But they
known
didn't
for
want to
their
get
mosh pits.
trampled.
Exactly. So I'm built like a fucking shit brick house, a brick shit house. I'm fucking solid as a rock. So people would get thrown into me, and they would just bounce right off of me.
Yeah, I mean, you're. I mean, I've never been around you in person, but I've hung out with Zeka. Zeka's the same way. Like when we were walking down the strip in Vegas, Tim was like, "This is cool, man. Nobody's gonna mess with us."
Right. I'm 5'10", almost 400 pounds. So.
And I think Zeka is probably like, I don't know. I think he's like five. I mean, not 5'6", maybe. But like, he makes me look small.
Exactly.
I love taking pictures with that dude.
It's
like, look, Rob's not near that big. But
I could put my elbow on Rob's head.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically what it feels like.
But yeah, I've worked with people as far as like that intimidation factor goes. I've worked with people who don't talk to me for 6 months just because they think I'll fucking beat the shit out of them.
They didn't like it. Yeah.
Yeah, they thought I was this scary dude that wanted to kill everybody. And then somehow I got brought into a conversation and they're like, "Oh, you're just a giant freaking teddy bear."
Now, what's your background? What's your heritage? What's your, for lack of better words, what race are you?
So, apparently, my race is considered white Caucasian.
Yeah, but
because
who moved
Portuguese? Portuguese.
Portuguese. See, I would have never thought.
Yes.
I thought you were like probably going to say Greek with that hair and that beard. Like, y'all don't know, this dude could be a hair model, a beard model, not a Speedo model, but other than that, he could be a model.
I mean,
I think all guys could wear Speedos, right?
Yeah, I mean, my old boss, when COVID really started, he was talking about starting up a fat guy strip club called New England Sexy Portuguese.
Portuguese?
Portuguese. We're all plus-size dudes, so we figured there's got to be some type of fetish for that, right?
Yeah, but it might be a bunch of skinny dudes.
Is it gay if you get paid?
No.
Okay, then.
And I have no problem with it if it is and you want to do that. That's all on you. So, I don't judge anyone. You know that.
Right.
But let's fast forward. Like, you're not in the band. Do you still play?
Occasionally.
And you play bass?
I play bass.
Yeah, bass and metal's badass.
Yeah, I play the bass. I can play the guitar, play the trumpet. I can play the piano.
You can play the piano too.
Yep. Not great, but I can play it.
Yeah, you know what? I can't play any musical instruments. My hands don't work like that. Like I'm
That's
dyslexic, and my fingers are also dyslexic.
I got really bad carpal tunnel, so my hands don't really let me do what I want to very often. But it is what it is.
So, would any of your like icon bass players? Would I know any of them?
The one you would probably know the most would be Flea from the Chili Peppers.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's got some great riffs
Oh yeah,
for a
absolutely.
bass player. Yeah,
Cliff Burton,
you got to tell me who they're with. I don't know.
Metallica.
Oh, well, yeah, of
He,
course.
he's the one who passed away.
Ah, okay.
Bass player that passed away. Um, Jason Newsted with Metallica was great. Is great. He's doing a lot
Are
of
you a Metallica fan?
their old stuff. Everything
Same.
from
Like Batter Ray, Master of Puppets.
yeah. I started getting into Metallica with the Black Album, so I know that's where people draw the line is from before Black Album. For me, it's Black Album and before.
Yeah.
Um, the first album I bought with my money was actually Ride the Lightning from Metallica
Okay. Gotcha.
with the electric chair on the album cover.
Ah, okay. I was
So-
trying to think. I don't think I can even think about what my first album was. I know rock and roll wise, I want to say it was Heart. The album that Barracuda was on.
Yep.
But I think that wasn't my first album. I think that was like one of my first 8 tracks. Album wise, though, once I had a stereo that played vinyl, I think it was Sammy Hagar's 3 Lock Box.
Okay. So let me clarify this. If we're going 8-track vinyl,
Oh, so
My
I
first-
figured you weren't old enough for 8-track.
yeah, I've never actually physically seen an 8-track.
Oh my God. Okay.
So
Young people.
I grew up listening to tapes with my dad in the car. We grew up. My dad was a big fan of the Charlie Daniels Band.
Oh yeah, I was too.
So I remember listening to the Charlie Daniels greatest hits with my dad, driving around in this old beat up Oldsmobile.
And wasn't it the best?
Oh yeah.
Those were the days, man.
Yep. And so the first CD I bought was actually Ride the Lightning.
Oh, gotcha.
It wasn't an actual album, a vinyl album.
Gotcha. I misunderstood because albums always, to me, meant vinyl.
Yeah. Yeah. My first album that I actually bought was about a year ago was the first album I bought. When my wife and I moved into the apartment, the person who was here before us left a couple of albums behind.
Any good ones?
Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Oh, I got it. Oh, I got it, man. I got it.
So
That's a great
Out of
one to
the-
leave behind, too. For
right,
you, I mean.
yeah, considering it was the second pressing.
Oh, wow.
Judge-
Was it like in
Yeah.
super pristine condition?
It was the only album that worked flawlessly
Nice.
from start to finish. So, because they left behind 3 albums, my wife went out and bought me a record player.
Nice.
So, I bought my first album was Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
That is a very interesting album. Because that's Jack Black, right?
Yes,
I don't know the other dude's name.
Kyle Gass.
Yeah. They actually play some pretty badass music.
Oh, absolutely. And Jack Black's thought on it is I'm doing this for fun. I'm
Yeah.
going to make it fun.
Yeah, I
And
actually enjoy quite a bit of his music. I mean, I don't have any, but I've like stumbled upon like a YouTube or something, and I'm like, wow, these guys are actually really good.
yep, my wife hates it.
Well, it's like, when you see those two guys together, you're like, well, this is going to be a joke.
And it is. It is a joke.
It is,
But it's
they're
awesome.
talented. They're so
Yes.
talented.
Yes, they actually met at acting school.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
But I love both those guys. I think Jack Black is hilarious.
Me too.
All right, tell everybody what you're smoking, man.
I am smoking a Cavalier cigar. Cavalier Geneva. They usually have the gold diamond on it.
Okay.
But this one is actually called the Goss after the local rep.
Oh, that's cool.
So
they
that
did
he worked.
They did a cigar for one of their reps.
Yes, they
That
blended
is
the
super
cigar
cool.
for him.
That is super
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Did he have input on that?
Oh yeah, he had full. He pretty much had full control over this.
That's badass.
So he worked with Sebastian from Cavalier to do this cigar.
That's badass. I'm smoking one of your favorites, the Micallef Riata. And have you smoked this one before?
I have. I think you sent me one.
How did you like it?
It was all right.
Might be a little light for you, though.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the lighter cigars that I smoke, especially if I'm going to have a bourbon. Like, this is more of a coffee smoke most of the time, but when I was stumbling to grab a cigar for this interview, I just grabbed what was closest.
Yeah. But, so yeah, getting back to your original question that you had for me, when did I decide to really step away from
being
the lifestyle?
A criminal.
Yeah. It was actually it was Memorial Day weekend, 2015. The job I was working at, we had just done, I want to say it was 5 or 6 days straight. We were in one location. We had probably 470 something events going on in one location. And I got, over those 6 days, I probably got about 45 minutes to an hour of sleep.
Dang.
So I closed my eyes in my boss's van. I woke up. I had a massive panic attack. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who I was. The only thing that started to calm me down was when I was looking around, I saw the company logo, and I'm like, okay, I know I got to be at work, because why would I have something of the company logo in my car? So my boss's wife came over. She was checking on me. They came over with a couple bottles of water, told me to drink these, and I go home later on that night because I still had a full day's worth of work ahead of me.
So that wasn't, hey, dude, you're not doing well. We need to have some time off.
No, it almost got to that point. They were actually. It
sounds to me like it did get to that point, but nobody pulled the trigger on what needed to actually happen.
Right. They were debating on whether or not they were going to send me to Rhode Island Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But
I would have automatically just sent you. I'm not a medical professional.
I mean,
I'm just going to send you.
I'm not either. But it is what it is. We got the job done. The client was super impressed, super happy. They actually thought we were rolling with a crew of about 100 people, and it was 10 of us.
Dang.
So I called my wife, tell her I'm on my way over to her house, that I got to take a shower, and I'm going to bed. I bust through the door. How's it going, everybody? Talking to my wife the entire ride home. Now, while I'm on my way home, I'm seeing bears and shit running on the side of the road. I don't live in an area where there's fucking bears.
Yeah, you're the closest thing that looks like a bear.
Exactly. I thought I drove into a bridge at one point. I thought I hit it with a fucking work truck. Thought I hit a low bridge in
And
the
that
work
was on your
truck.
way home from work?
I was on my way home from work.
Yeah.
I was hallucinating.
Yeah.
I was hallucinating from lack of sleep.
Deprivation.
Now, mind you, I'm talking to my wife, having a full-blown conversation with my wife. I bust through the door. Hey, everybody, how's it going? My wife's mother's like, are you drunk? I'm like, no, I haven't slept in like 6 days. I'm ready to go to bed. My wife's like, nice to see you finally home. I'm like, I told you I was turning down Buck Plain, and she's like, I lost you like 20 minutes ago.
Ah.
I'm like, bullshit, I had a full-blown conversation with you. And then she takes my phone, and she's scrolling through. She goes through to the most recent call, and she's like, see, phone call was 1 minute and 13 seconds.
Wow. And you thought you'd been talking the whole time.
Yep.
And did you go into the bedroom and then just crash for like a day? 24 hours?
Almost. The only time I've ever slept for almost 24 hours was the first time I had edibles. But that's a story for another time. I slept for probably 18 hours.
Yeah.
That day. After I took a nice cold shower, she turned the air conditioner on for me because I was overheated, had heat exhaustion super bad.
So did you go, hey, you know what? I need to make changes on how we do things going forward because this is not healthy for me.
One of the guys that I worked with called me up after payday. Your bill for this last week was $3,500. I'm like, I did that much drugs this week? He's like, yep, you did.
Wow.
I'm like, fuck. I'm like, all right, let me see what my paycheck is. My paycheck before taxes was $4,200.
After taxes was $3,400.
Yeah, I was lucky. They ended up breaking it up a little bit because of the taxes. But after all was said and done, I walked away from that stretch of work with $200 to my name.
That doesn't usually work out too well.
No. So I'm like, fuck. I really got to sit here and I have to reevaluate everything I'm doing because if I keep going like this, my heart's going to explode in my chest one day, and I'm not going to have anything to show for it.
And you're young.
Right.
I mean, not that you want to go out that way if you're old, but I mean, dude, come on, man. You got a lot of living left.
I was 23 when that happened.
Wow. And how old are you now? Like 30?
31.
31. And you just had your first kid at 31. Do you know that's exactly how old I was? 31 when I had Luke.
Was it?
Yep. And so, man, all I can say is for being a dad, take it all in every day and be thankful.
Yeah. Yeah, and so fast forward to September or October 2019. I'd moved out of my mother's house that Memorial Day weekend in 2019, and I got an unpleasant phone call from Rainham Police Department telling me that I had to go in for questioning for shoplifting from Walmart, and I'm like, wasn't me. I can tell you who you're looking for, and they're like, oh, black SUV, black Ford Explorer SUV, ring a bell? I said, yep, I've had one. My mother has one. They're like, you need to come down. I said, it's not me. I could tell you exactly what I was doing at that time. I said, you're looking for my brother. And it was that day I decided I am no longer staying at my mother's house. I am moving out. And that September or October, I went to my mother's house. Was packing up some of my stuff to bring it over to my wife's house, my wife's parents' house. My brother knocks on my door. He's like, hey, all sad and depressed. He's crashing from a high. He's like, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, absolutely. He's like, I know you probably don't want to talk to me. I said, no, not really. Not after everything you've stolen from me. After I get phone calls from police departments blaming me for stealing when it's actually you. I've bent over backwards for you, trying to get you the help you need and all that shit. And he's like, I know. He's like, I know I've done a lot of wrong by you. He's like, but you don't know what it's like to be an addict. So I told him, I'm like, I know a whole lot more than you actually think I do. I told him I had this massive problem with coke, but look at the choices you've made versus the choices I've made. I'm like, am I anywhere near where I wanted to be at 28, 27, 28, whatever it was, 28, 27 at the time? I said, no, not at all. I said, but I'm getting up, moving on. I'm like, you had that same opportunity to be like, this is not what I want to do. But instead, you're like, let me find the next high. Let me go to something worse than coke. And now look at your criminal record.
Now, that's the same brother, though, that you lost.
That's the same brother I lost, yes.
And so, I mean, that kind of changes everything, right?
It did. And I got a phone call later on that night from my mother, and she's in tears. She's like, what the fuck did you say to your brother? And I'm like, this is not a conversation I'm having over the phone. Why? What happened? She's like, after you left, he came downstairs in tears, and he's like, I need to borrow your phone. My mom's like, well, why don't you use yours? And he's like, because I just sold my phone to get my last fix. And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, my brother said, I need to go to detox. I need to go to rehab. And I need to go to a sober house. My mom's like, what changed all of a sudden? And he's like, you got to talk to Adam. So I told my mom, next time I come over, I'll explain everything to you. Went over, explained everything to my mother, and she's like, is that why you were such a miserable prick for 3 months a couple of years ago? I said, yeah, because I wanted to get high and I didn't. It's as simple as that. So this is the kind of luck that my younger brother had. He got out the day before Thanksgiving of 2019. That Monday, he got a job offer working for an HVAC company, making $35 an hour. Up here, starting off in any type of a job at $35 an hour is unheard of.
Yeah, that's starting out as a guy who's been around for 15 years.
Right. Exactly. So that following Monday, he had to go for a drug test. Obviously, he's been in treatment for the last 2.5 months. And we all go to the movies one day because he was working nights. He was working overnight on a job, and we went to go see Ford versus Ferrari. I leave my mother's house. I say, see you later to my brother. He sends me a text message later on that night and asking me for some horror movies to watch. I go in for carpal tunnel surgery the next day. And that Friday night into Saturday, I had just been in so much pain because the nerve block wore off. And the pain meds they were giving me, because of my issues, they weren't working. So they gave me Percocet. They only gave me like 8 pills of Percocet to deal with the pain. And in order to feel somewhat of an ounce of relief, I had to take all 8 pills at once.
Dang.
So
you had relief for like basically 4 or 5 hours. That was it.
Not even.
Wow.
Not even because of the amount of pain that I was in. It's like, easiest way for me to describe it would be like, um, cleaning a flat top and putting just a little drop of water on the flat top, the nice and hot flat top, and then having that dissipate immediately. It
So,
did not last very long.
gotcha.
But I ended up calling one of my buddies who grows his own medical marijuana and all of that. And he hooked me up. I felt great. I felt great. I had edibles, I had smoke, I had everything. I mean, for those of you who don't know, up in Massachusetts, marijuana is legal. So, but overnight, that Friday into Saturday, my wife comes running into the room. She's sleeping in her sister's room just because the hand that I had surgery on is the hand that lays close to her. She didn't want to hit it on me. She comes running into my room. Your brother died.
Who said that?
My wife.
Gotcha.
I had 47 missed calls from my mother, and I had 30 from my sister.
Wow.
So,
And so how long had they been trying to get a hold of you? Like, what was the wait time, you know?
it was probably over the course of an hour.
Wow.
The phone call started around 2:30, 3 o'clock. And my wife finally came in. It was around 4. So,
And I mean, all what people don't know is, I mean, you and your brother were still like really close. Like, even though he was doing stuff
absolutely.
that you didn't like,
Absolutely.
I mean, it wasn't like you just washed your hands of this kid. Y'all were close.
No, because I knew what he was going through. That's the thing. And everybody is like, oh, well, the junkie's a junkie, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but not really.
Yeah, you're also like, he's also a person.
Right. He's got a family. He's got a family that cares about him. And until you know what it's like to be at your lowest low, I don't want to hear you talking about a junkie being a junkie. One of the guys I work with, we got into an argument a couple months ago, and talking about how my generation is soft. And I'm like, are we all really soft? Or do we have more access to the resources that we need that you and your generation didn't have?
I think that's a good point. That's a good point. Because you said earlier that you have suffered with a lot of depression, anxiety. Well,
Right.
dude, whenever I was growing up, I had depression and anxiety also, but I didn't know it. I didn't know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's just like,
you were told to suck it up and deal with it.
Right. And do I think that's the right way to handle it? Absolutely not. But we didn't know there was any other way, just another. I think I told you guys on a show once, I met with my cousin, and she was like, I was mentally abused as a child. And I was like, yeah, we all were.
Right?
That was just the way it was.
Yeah. And so the guy's like, yeah, but you guys are on medications for everything. I said, all right, so answer me this question. How many of the people you grew up with, how many of them are addicted to drugs? How many of them are alcoholics? And how many of them killed themselves? He's like, a fair amount. I'm like, all right, how many of the alcoholics, drunks, and the people who killed themselves, how many of them were men? He's like, all of them. And I said, there's my point. I said, so you mean to tell me that if you guys had the same access to the healthcare system as it is now, where it's okay for guys to talk about how they feel, you mean to tell me that all those guys who are alcoholics, drug addicts, and the ones who blew their brains out wouldn't still be here? Yeah, most of them might not be, but
Well, you don't
It is
know
what
that
it is.
though. You don't know
But
that.
exactly, I'm like, you don't know that.
Yeah, I am a huge supporter for dealing with depression, anxiety, mental health issues. I
Yeah.
think because I grew up in a generation that if someone said that you had a mental issue, whether it be depressed or anxiety,
You got sent to the loony bin.
you're not fit to be in society. So people didn't talk about it. They sucked up and kept on moving. And that's why I think a lot of the higher suicide rates back in my generation were going on.
Yeah.
Because
It
they
was
were
okay.
told to be tough about it. And you know what? The toughest thing you could do was just be done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not a good solution, but you found out real quick that it's like, hey, nobody wants to hear that shit. You know, it's like, oh.
No, exactly.
So I agree 100%. I'm glad that your generation is making it a point to deal with mental health.
Yeah. And even then, I've been I've been in abusive relationships where I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
My ex, who I was actually getting ready to marry and everything, was the worst one of them all. Oh, suck it up! Don't be a little crybaby about this shit. You're being such a bitch, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, here I am. You tell me that I can be open with you, but you're telling me to shut the fuck up,
And can you imagine if you would have been married to that person,
right? I
living in that
definitely,
atmosphere
I
the whole time?
right. And now between well, everybody on Cigar Talk's gonna know. So hey,
Between me and everybody
Penny,
else,
hey, this is a trigger warning. If you don't want to listen to this, skip over the next 15 seconds of the show. But I actually almost killed myself 3 or 4 times
and you know
because
what? You know, I was talking to a group not that long ago. In fact, I think the group was here in the studio right before we filmed the show or recorded. But I was like, hey, if you were going to kill yourself, how would you do it? And they're like, I don't know. I never thought about it. And I'm like, you never thought about it? Come on. Like, how many people
right,
haven't never thought about it? Like, I think more
right,
people have thought about how they would than haven't.
yeah,
And like, I don't plan on doing it, but I mean, you know, every once in a while, I got a little 5 minutes on my hand. I'm like, how would I do that?
right,
And I've come up with some unique ways. And, you know, I'm not into pain. I'm not doing anything that's going to be like overly painful.
right. It kind of reminds me of a joke that would be an after show joke,
Not, it's
not one for the regular
gotcha,
show.
gotcha. Well, then share that with me
But
later and we'll make that happen.
but but yeah, no, it's tough because in my wife's family, they've definitely opened my eyes to a lot of, hey, it is okay to talk with us about this shit. Um, my wife's my mother-in-law, she the day my brother passed away, my wife was talking to her mother all morning long, and we get back to the house, and she's like, Adam, can I give you a hug? And I'm like, why the hell are you asking me if you can give me a hug? She's like, you just lost your brother. She's like, that's traumatic. And I'm like, um, okay. And I broke down, and like, that was the first time my wife has ever seen me cry. It was the first time her mother saw me cry, and her stepfather.
Yeah, because you had
And
the weight of the world on your shoulders at that moment.
yeah, exactly. And
And it's tough to carry that load.
I'm not I'm not an emotional guy. Like,
You're supposed to be
I,
tough.
exactly. That's how I was brought up. You need to be tough. everybody else is relying on you.
Yeah.
And
Trust me, I completely understand, man. That weight bearing down on your shoulders, having to be the guy that makes the decisions and helping, and I mean, it's a lot.
yeah, and when my dad came up last week, we were actually talking about some of that. My dad lives out in Pennsylvania, so in order for me to go see my father and spend any time with my father, it is a 6.5 hour trip.
Like one way.
One way.
Yeah.
One way. So obviously we just had the baby, so I can't make that trip like I normally would. So he came up and we were talking and he's like, his mom, my grandmother, came with him. She lives about 45 minutes away from me. But again, that's a whole nother story for another day about
But
that
you also have
relationship.
other family there. I mean, you go see your uncle a lot.
Yeah, my dad's twin brother.
Yeah. So, I
I
mean,
go
that's
see
kind of
him.
cool right there.
Yeah, it was, and the only reason I see my uncle so much is because my dad split from my mother in 20, actually it was 2019. 2019, my dad split from my mother, and when my dad originally had moved to New York, actually no, my dad left in 2018 because I spent that Easter with him in New York. Um, anyways, my dad had moved to New York, and my uncle calls me up one day. He's like, "Hey, I want to get together with you, David, and Joey if Joey can get his shit together." And he's like, "Where your dad's gone now," he's like, "I don't think I'm going to be able to see you guys as often." He's like, "So let's set something up that Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night you guys come over for a little bit." And that was 2018, 2019, right around there that started happening. And every Sunday I try to go over to my uncle's house, hang out with him for a couple hours. We smoke cigars, and we'll occasionally drink.
And that's the
But
same uncle that was like, hey, don't be bringing me crap cigars.
yes, that was the same exact uncle.
So now you're hanging out and smoking good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, "Oh, what do you want to smoke today?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. What are you thinking?" He's like, "Well," he's like, "I got these we could try." And I'm like, "All right, let's try them." Take a couple of puffs. Nah, this one sucks. Let's try something else.
Nice. Just going through till you find the one that works for you.
Yeah. So,
So now,
but yeah,
though, you've gone through all this, I mean, what I would consider to be tragedy. I mean, I consider
yeah,
losing your brother to be tragic. Because I
yes.
know, like, if I lost one of my brothers, that would be, I mean, it would be rough on me.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, for us, we lost both my mom and dad in 2016. And that
Hmm.
was pretty damn rough.
Right.
And, you know, I've gone through a lot of stuff on a mental health side that was not good. But, I came out of it and I still have some rough days every now and then. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
But I also take my medication. Like if I don't take my
Yes.
medication in 2 days, I'm
Oh,
like,
you're feeling it.
oh, dude, in two
You're feeling
days,
it.
I'm beyond feeling it. I'm knee deep in it. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to see anyone.
Yep.
I don't want to get on the computer. I don't want, you know what I mean? It's just, I want to shut
Yeah.
the entire world out.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, like, I completely understand. So, did you ever get, like, talk to a counselor or a psychiatrist?
So, yes, I did. So 2019, my brother passed away December 21st, 4 days before Christmas. So that in itself had to have been the toughest Christmas, because here we all were planning on my brother actually being there.
Yeah.
Actually,
Because he's actually been doing good. He went and got detoxed.
right. My brother had been using drugs for 3 or 4 years, so he hasn't been to any holidays in 3 or 4 years.
But now he's
So
getting
here
his
we are.
shit together. That you think?
Right. He was there for Thanksgiving, which was awesome. We had so much fun. And here I am getting ready for Christmas to have so much fun. Like when we were kids. And then like that, he's gone.
100%.
It's like, fuck. Like, what are we gonna do now? So it was just that whole week. Well, we had to finish planning for Christmas, doing Christmas dinner and all of that stuff. We had to plan the wake, we had to plan the funeral, all in 3 days, 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
We had to plan 3 separate events. And it's all a blur.
Oh, absolutely. Same for
It's
me.
all a blur.
But let me ask you this though. So like when you hear people, I mean, what do you hear when people say, "Well, I'm not going to go see a counselor. That's not, whatever. I'm a man. I don't have to do that."
You have to do it. You
may have to do it you may have to do it more than once with a different counselor, because not all counselors are fit for you.
So I started seeing a counselor. It was 2 weeks after Christmas. And here I am thinking that she's an actual counselor. So, but she doesn't take insurance. You have to pay cash. You can pay cash or card. But I go to her for probably 7 or 8 weeks at $100 a visit.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell her, like, this sucks. Like, I am not in a good place. Like, I don't know if it's just my meds aren't working. And she's like, well, I'm not a counselor or a psychiatrist, so I can't prescribe you anything. And I'm like,
you're like, hey, what have we been doing here?
What do you mean you're not a fucking counselor? What do you mean you're not a therapist? Like, I've given you $800 up until this point.
And I'm still exactly where I was.
Right. So, again, me being the addictive person that I am, I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to stop taking my depression meds. I'm going to go back to doing what I know makes me feel great.
And that's a bad idea.
And my buddy and I went to the bar one night. And I'm sitting at the bar waiting for my buddy to get out of work. And my father-in-law shows up at the bar. He's like, I didn't think I'd be seeing you here. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, here we go. I'm like, yeah, I'm having a rough day. And he's like, you having a rough day because of your brother? And I said, yeah. He's like, well, just so you know, he's like, I kind of know what you're going through. He's like, I haven't lost a brother, but the reason I'm an alcoholic today is partly because when I was 12 years old, I came home from school and I saw my dad dead in his chair. I'm like, fuck, that sucks. He's like, yes, it does. He's like, so you're dating my daughter. Don't go down the same path as me. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, I'll just go back to smoking weed and drinking beer. I'm like, I'm not going to go back to drinking the hard liquor because the hard liquor would turn into Coke, and I'm good. I don't want to go down that path again. And
Well, it's good that you recognize the pattern of what not to do.
Yeah,
Well, because, when you're hurting and you're feeling those ways, it's like, you know what? I'm going to drink about 8 shots of bourbon right now, I want to get to where I don't feel it. And then next thing you know, because you know your pattern, you're like, hey, where can I find some cocaine? And then
right.
you go down that road, and then who knows where that road goes?
Exactly. So the only time I will ever do anything hard is if my uncle comes over to my house or if my wife is with me. Just because I know if my uncle comes here and we drink, I'm not going anywhere.
And that's one of the big things that I've done now. It's like, I don't, well, because we're in a new studio, we have a lounge. And
Yeah.
it's like, if I'm going to have more than 2 drinks, I might as well just stay here.
Right. Absolutely. So, but now,
So, on a good note, though, I mean, let's fast forward to like the last 3 months. Like, look at your life 3 months ago and then back then. Dude, you've come a long ways.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got a full-time good job.
Yep. I got a great job.
You had to work a full-time shitty job before this one.
Yeah.
That job was going to kill you.
Yeah. Absolutely. I got one of the greatest jobs, and before I left on paternity leave, we had to sit down with the plant manager. There was about 10 of us there. And they started incorporating a tracking system where every hour you have to break down the amount of parts you get done in that hour.
So they're measuring. They got metrics in place to see if you're a top performer or how can we improve this guy.
Right. And they already said that it is going to be a little bit of an adjustment. We track the best employee and we track the worst employee and we split the difference. So
to make where we want everybody to be.
Right. So they said that, all right, we're probably going to definitely adjust these numbers several times, but we just got to work on making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to all day.
Which is fair. They're paying you.
Exactly. And my thought is like, I come to work to work. I don't come to work to bullshit.
Right.
I'm like, I want to do, like I told everybody, I'm here to work. I'm not here to make friends. If I make friends along the way, that's okay. But
yeah, I come to do a job and I'm going to knock it out of the park all day, every day.
Exactly. So we have to sit down and everybody.
Top performer, everybody's like, dude, you suck.
No, because my room, the room that I'm in, for those of you who are not in the Discord chat, I work and I make knee replacements.
Like titanium.
Right.
Or whatever it's made. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't pour.
Gotcha.
So I don't have to know all of that.
So you're making the end product, or you're making the part that makes it to where they can make it?
I'm the middleman.
Ah.
So in the foundry, there's 3 parts. You have your wax assembly, you have your dip room and autoclave, and then you have the metal side.
So is the middleman kind of like the pivot man?
Sure.
Cool. Perfect, Zeka.
Sure.
Write that down. Remember that.
So after the wax room, it comes to me. It gets several layers of a ceramic coating put onto it. So the first 2 layers, the 2 or 3 layers is the mold itself. And the next 2 or 3 layers is more of a safety shell. So
and is the safety shell made out of the ceramic?
Yes. It is made out of a ceramic type material.
Because ceramic is more adaptable to the human body than, say, just bare titanium.
So there's no ceramic that actually goes into the part.
Ah, it's not on the outside?
It is just the mold.
Oh, gotcha.
It's just the mold.
Gotcha.
So what'll happen is after it goes through autoclave, all the wax inside the mold will melt out. So that way it'll go through a 2500-degree oven to get tempered to pour the metal into the mold itself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then they'll knock all the ceramic off, and then it'll
And this
go
is for a hip replacement.
knee replacement.
Knee replacement.
And we do hip replacements as well.
So how many people are doing knee replacements? Is that like a big business? I mean, how many of these are you making?
Oh, yeah. On an average line, and we can run 2 lines a day, we can run probably close to 400 pieces in a line.
Wow, a day?
Yeah.
And you're doing that every day?
No. A line. 1 line. We can run 2 lines a day.
So 800
So you're talking
a day?
about 800 pieces a day goes through the dip room.
Wow. I didn't realize there was that many people having knee replacements.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Right?
I mean, I don't have one. You don't have one. Do you know somebody with one? I don't know anyone. Well, you know what? I know Bryant. He's got 2.
Yeah. Yep. Bryant has 2. My mother has 1. My grandfather needs 1. Couple of the guys I used to work with have them.
You ought to like get some gold paint or something and like mark the ones that you're a part of, so we know if like Bryant's.
See, if Bryant finds out who made his knee replacement,
yeah,
and he sends me a lot number, if I'm the one who's worked on it, I could tell you.
That'd be awesome. You come down here and autograph it. Be like, that's my work.
Right? So, now, not all 800 of those go into production.
Well, what happens with all the other ones that don't? Like, how many don't go into production? What do you do with them? Can I get one?
No. They end up going to scrap. They get melted back down, and then they get redone as new ingots, and will come back to us and get redone. So it's a
whole new recycle.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So, like,
at least,
what's it made out of, though? What's the ingot made out of?
I can't tell you because I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were going to be like top secret. We can't be giving that shit out on Cigar Talk.
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Gotcha. All right, so let's shift gears here for a minute. I want to, because you've been around for so long as part of the Cigar Talk community, like one of the earliest I can remember, if not the earliest.
Mm-hmm.
What is your thought behind Cigar Talk's new format? Like, we're going to do things different. We're going to, we're almost like not abandoning the ship, but we're catching it on fire. And then we're going to like jump off on the little boat and start rowing.
So how do you plan on doing this new format?
We don't really have a plan. We really just start drinking, and then whatever happens, happens.
And I wouldn't expect any less from this show. But what I'm talking about is, are you still going to continue doing weekly shows? Are you going to do bi-weekly?
So here's the thing on that. We are actually still up in the air on that, because we talked about going to 2 shows a month, but then also we would love to keep doing 4 shows a month. But like before we had you on for the interview, we had a little discussion about maybe doing some audio editing. And if there was an audio editor available, wink, wink, we would probably look at doing 4 shows a month and at least 2 crew shows a month. At least. If we have like an audio editor. You know what I mean? Because that's like the biggest part to me, is having to do that.
Yes. And Rob, I have told you countless times.
Yeah. We talked about that before you came on. But what we're talking about now is Adam has been like, hey, I told you a long time ago. I'm like, dude, I drank a lot since then.
So I don't know if you got the message. Now, I've been a Patreon supporter from...
I think you're the earliest one. I think you're the first one.
Just the Bloke was before me.
Ah, I forgot that. Yeah, that's true.
So I ended up canceling my Patreon,
Gotcha.
and it was recently, like I want to say within the last 2 weeks.
Because you thought the show sucked.
No, because I didn't know where you were going with the show.
True. You know
So,
what? But to be fair, I didn't either.
So over the last, we'll say 6 months, because it really started to trickle down after the new year.
There was one month we only did one show. I think March we only did one show.
Yeah, and in February, it was like the beginning of February, and then we didn't get another show until almost the middle of March.
Right. And then you
And
get
then
another
it
one
was
until
like-
April.
Yeah. So I'm like, I couldn't justify giving the $25 for the producer if I didn't know where the show was actually going.
Absolutely. And you know what? And that's one of the reasons I asked you to come on the show. Let's talk about it. And let's talk about it in front of everybody. You know how I am, dude.
So
do you know another guy that hosts any podcast that's more transparent than me? Like,
no.
I mean, then that's why I'm like, you know what? I could do all this asking about these questions one-on-one, but why not have it on the show? Because you know what? I'm sure there's other people that have been like, what the fuck's going on, Rob? You know what I mean?
And I'm sure there has been. But with the comment that I sent through Patreon, I don't know if you read it or not.
I did not. I haven't been on Patreon in a minute.
So that's basically what I put. Due to the my financial situation obviously has changed.
A child.
I have a child.
Instead of 2 people,
And-
you now have 3 people.
Exactly. And even then, it's my wife and I still have separate financials.
Oh, I did not know that. How long you
Yeah.
been married now?
So-
a year? Almost a year. Almost a year.
Almost 2 years.
2 years. Damn, time flies.
Yeah, so
Doesn't it just seem like
No.
yesterday you were talking about like tuxedos and suits and cakes and all that shit?
well, there was never talks about tuxedos and suits.
All right, I made that
Because-
part up in I filled in the
So-
blank.
So I just wore a nice dress shirt, dress pants, and I wore cowboy boots.
Woo!
I wore snakeskin cowboy boots.
And
to the
whenever
wedding.
whenever you walked into the wedding, were they playing I'm a rhinestone cowboy? Dun,
No.
dun. Okay, sorry.
I couldn't even tell you what I walked into at the wedding.
You don't know the song?
Nope, I don't.
So whenever I got married, you know what song they played when I came in? Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
Now, my wedding was a total DIY wedding.
Yeah, well, most of mine was too. It was, and yours was probably way bigger than mine.
We had about 100 people show up to my wedding.
I think we had about 130, 140. But so it's very much the same. But
Yeah,
we had a lot of family doing a lot of stuff,
No, like my mother catered it.
Oh, nice.
But-
Like we had some friend of the family do the flowers. We had a friend of the family do the meal. Same scenario.
Yeah.
It was like I'm
So-
poor.
Well, I got all the stuff from the job I used to work with. I got the tables, the chairs, the tent, the dance floor.
Oh,
I got
no
everything.
kidding. So did they just let
Yeah.
you borrow that?
Yeah.
Dude.
I had to rent the tent and the dance floor from a company that we dealt with,
Gotcha.
but I didn't have to pay full price
I was
for
going
it.
to say they gave you a deal.
Yeah. So, but before my wife and I got married, I told her, I'm like, listen, we got to have a talk about finances. I said, I don't have a problem having a joint checking account with you. I said, but this is what I'm going to contribute every week to the house. This is what my paycheck is.
And this is how much
I
money
said-
goes to cigars.
I said, this is my play money and my bill money that I am keeping. Everything else will go back into the house.
Dude, that's exactly how we do it. Like I have, basically we have 3 accounts. I have my money, she has her money, and then we have the household money. And every
Yeah.
month I get a little, what would you call it? An allowance.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can do whatever
So
I want to do with that money.
yeah. So like I pay for the rent and I pay for our utilities. My wife, because she doesn't work as much as I do, she buys the groceries. So
She's
that's how
losing out on that because I'm guessing right now already that you're eating more than her.
surprisingly just a
Don't.
little bit. Just a little bit more.
All right. Well, either way, she's getting screwed if she's responsible for the groceries.
She spends less money on groceries than I spend on all the other utilities.
Okay, I take it back. She's doing very
So
well.
yes. But
And just out of curiosity, where you live, like, what's your electric bill every month?
our most recent electric bill was $83.
Oh, you suck.
I mean,
My electric bill in Texas in the summer averages $4.75.
yeah.
Y'all have AC?
Yeah. We have one air conditioner
Wow.
and that thing runs 24/7.
Ours does too, and it's very expensive. But in Texas, I mean, anyway, I was just curious, like how much electricity costs up there versus down here.
So getting back to now that I got a family of 3, I couldn't justify giving the $25 a month for Patreon where I didn't know where the show was going.
I got you.
But
And if you quit today and never come back, I still love you just the same.
Rob, but you know what?
What?
I felt guilty about canceling my Patreon.
Why?
So I signed back up. Rob.
Oh, well, you know what? I thank you for that. But either way, my friendship is not based on if you are a Patreon or not. You know.
No, I know it's not.
You know what I mean? If you said, "Hey, I think you're doing a shitty job. I'm not doing this," I'd be like, "All right, hey, I appreciate your real feedback because that's what I love.
So
I love real feedback.
I know you do. So that's why I'm being right up front with it.
I appreciate
that I did cancel my Patreon, but I did sign back up. I did sign right back up.
What is my rule for the Discord if you are a producer? You are untouchable.
Yes.
Because you asked me just the other day, can we kick out Patrick? And what I say, no, you can't. He's untouchable.
Yep.
Because you know what? There's a certain level of respect that you give for someone at that level. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm thankful for everyone that wants to support no matter what level you're at. But when you've been at the producer level for as long as you guys have and as long as Patrick have, I'm like, they could drive down to Abilene and shit on the hood of my car and I'm still going to be their friend. In fact, I think it'd be funny if you did that.
You know what I think would be really funny?
Lay it on me.
Is if Deb came down and did that.
No, okay.
I do.
No.
No.
No. But no, I just wanted to know, like, just the first episode you heard of the new transition. What do you think?
I enjoyed it.
It's not solely about cigars. You know what I mean? We've interviewed.
This show never was.
Well, that's true.
This show never was really solely about cigars.
And it's even less about cigars now. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, this is what we're smoking. This is what we're drinking. And then we're going to talk. Like if you were just, hanging out with us. And there might be some issues that people want to hear about. And you may hear some stuff that nobody cares about. And at the same time, it's like, you know what? We're just going to have fun. I started missing out on the fun because it became more like a business. Well, it became more of a business, and it was like, you know what? That's not why I started this.
In your shoes, you do have to look at it like that, though.
You have to look at it like that on the outside. But as far as the show goes, I'm like, hey, if you want to listen to this show, I hope you're prepared to be offended.
Exactly.
If you're
Exactly,
not,
because
if you don't want to be offended, you should not listen to my show.
no, because your name really explains it. Cigar talk. This is how we talk when we smoke cigars.
Bingo. That's a really like I wanted to get back to that because we had
Right.
become a little too commercial for my taste.
Yeah. Yeah, like when you had to do the radio show.
Oh yeah,
I did not like that.
No,
I did not
because
like that.
it took the conversation out of the whole show.
Yeah, it took the fun that you had when you weren't trying to be G-rated all the time.
Yeah, and you know, we were PG rated for like what, 2 years.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is I had a dude that emailed me and said, "Hey man, I just found your show and I've listened to the first 26 episodes. I love what you guys are doing, blah blah blah." And then like the next email he sent me said, "I jumped up in the 180 range and wow, you guys really did take off the PG rating." And I was like, I don't know if he's going to listen anymore.
Right. But for me, where I can't, my closest lounge to me is about a half an hour, 45 minutes away.
That sucks.
Yeah. That's why I like doing the herfs with everybody on Zoom. Now, I
And you
love
know what
listening
sucks
to.
is like you've always been one that joins the herfs. Like I don't know very many that you missed on the herfs. But
Yeah,
you
there's not
noticed that
many.
it became like less and less people joining the herfs.
Yeah.
Once COVID was over and people got back to because during COVID, holy shit, we had some
Right.
badass herfs.
Oh yeah, we would herf sometimes till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I mean,
We'd
we would
start-
start at 8 p.m. and I would usually leave
The
out.
sun was out?
Yeah, I would try to leave by 3 or 4. And then I would talk to you guys the next day, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, no, man, we stayed on for another 3 or 4 hours." And I'm like, holy shit.
Right.
But granted, I could not stay on that long because by 3 or 4 a.m., I passed out.
Yeah.
But,
Or like-
but all that to say, dude, what a great ride we've been on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we've been on Zoom for what, 2 hours now?
Oh, yeah, at least. And you know what? It's like, this is not unusual for us because we started doing Zoom when nobody else was doing Zoom.
Right. And if people didn't know that we really connected through COVID, people probably would have thought that we've known each other for fucking 10, 15 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Just because
you know what's funny to me, though, is that how many other talk show hosts joined our Discord and then they started their own Discord, and then within 5 weeks, those were dead.
Right, exactly.
Because they saw
Cough, Orlando.
Well, and I mean, how about what's that dude's name? Something Tobacco. Johnny Tobacco, whatever his name is.
I don't know.
He has that cute girlfriend. They got married.
Oh, Smoking Tobacco?
Yeah, Smoking Tobacco. Like, after they were on one night of us hanging out together, they immediately started another one. And it was exactly like ours. And they invited me an invite. I joined. And then, like, over the next 3 months, I watched it deteriorate to nothing. Because they weren't about the people as much.
Not only that, I don't think they really realized what goes into it to make it productive every week.
Actually, yeah. I mean, to me, it was our community.
Right.
Not just, hey, let's build this and then they can just do whatever.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who don't know, running the podcast is like having another full-time job on top of your own job.
And then you throw in that I'm managing my brother's social media, and he's TikTok
Right.
famous.
Exactly.
Like, I've been a host of a talk show for over 4 years. I'm not TikTok famous. You know what I mean? It's
No.
like,
And Rob, you never will be TikTok famous.
yeah. I'm. That's not me. That's not me. I am way too offensive to be famous
Right.
on any platform.
You can be infamous.
I've been infamous many times, Adam. Like, many times, Adam. But you know what? All that to say that, like, I have really enjoyed, like, how many people I've gotten to know over the years because we do Cigar Talk. I mean, I've got to know a lot of people that otherwise I would have never got to know. But you know what? Out of all the people I've met in the cigar industry, none of them come close to the guys that are in the Discord.
Right.
Like,
within the community.
Yeah. I mean, I've rubbed shoulders with some people who are the owners of cigar brands. But at the end of the day, I'd rather hang out with you guys.
No, exactly. Like, so before you started doing your COVID herfs like every week, I was doing them, and
I remember you actually started doing that.
Yeah.
In fact, you gave me information about how to start doing it.
Right. So, like, my first 10 herfs I did during COVID, I had people, I think Matt Booth hopped on once. I know, sore subject for you, Rob.
I don't know who Matt Booth is.
I had Willie Herrera from Drew Estate on. I had Pete Johnson on.
I did not know that. I just knew that you knew how to do them.
Yeah, I had a bunch of people on. And I was like, wow, this is awesome.
You were instrumental in starting the herfs in the cigar community. Like, as a cigar podcast, we were like the first ones. But you were before that doing these herfs with just guys that smoke cigars.
Yeah, I started off doing herfs within the New England Cigar Militia Facebook page.
Oh, and by the way, I invited the president of the Cigar Militia to join us in the very near future to be on as a guest.
Oh yeah, he actually has worked on a cigar. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. He told me.
Yeah.
We were just talking like either last night or the night before. I don't remember, but I love that guy.
Kevin's a great dude.
Like when I went to TPE, dude, he was the only dude that I hung out with that I enjoyed hanging out with.
Yeah, because he's a real
dude.
Yeah.
Now, the next one that I enjoyed hanging out with was Michael Herkelots.
Yep.
Like, that's a real dude. Even though he dresses like he's from GQ magazine, he still is a very down-to-earth dude to me. And the fact that he went to Berkeley on a drum scholarship, I'm like, dude,
right?
I dig whatever you got going on over there.
So, but yeah, no, like Kevin from the Cigar Militia, like he's a real dude. Like, he'll come down to Rhode Island and stuff. I'll meet him at lounges.
Yeah, and he's just a real dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like we won't see each other for 6, 7, 8 months at a time.
But then when you see him, he's like a long lost brother.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, when I reached out to him a couple of nights ago, I think it was, and I was like, hey, man, I'd love to have you back on the show. And he was like, dude, anytime you want, you just tell me. And I was like, see, that's a real dude right there. Not like Matt Booth.
Yeah.
With Matt Booth, it's like, hey, man, I'd love to have you on the show. Yeah, just let me know when you want to do it. And then we're like, all right, well, here's when we can do it. Okay, yeah, cool, we'll do it then. And then I get a message like the day of. He's like, hey, man, I didn't realize I double booked, so I'm going to have to bump you. And I'm like, You've bumped me 3 times. I don't
Right.
want to be bumped again.
Yeah, but like for a while I was going around with Kevin, and he was working on doing a vlog of different things. We had um New England Pit Life Barbecue. We had Pit Life Barbecue on one episode, and
I thought you said Fit Life Barbecue, and I was like, those don't go together.
no,
Fit
but
Life
we
and barbecue do not go
no
together.
Pit with a P.
Yeah.
But we had them on one show, and I ran the audio. I did everything for Kevin, and then we went. I'm sure you've seen him somewhere, but Sir Louis Cigar.
Oh yeah.
That you want to get a dude on the show who makes you look tame. He's the dude to have on the show.
I would love to have him and see if you can make that happen. And then on the flip side, I think I'm pretty tame.
Yeah, his show. He might be one of your guests for an after show.
I would, you know what? I would love that. So, did you like the fact that Lauren from Micallef did just an after show? Like, to me,
Yeah.
that's balls up. You know what I mean? Like, and,
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I told her right on there. It was like, yeah, I got a fan of Cigar Talk that he's like kind of pissed off about, you know, whatever. And she addressed it best she could, but at the same time, you know what? She came on there with not knowing where we were going to go. And so
Yeah.
I say hats off for having the balls to come on an after show with me.
Yeah.
And,
So
she was pretty transparent, too. Like, I was impressed a little bit by some of that.
yeah.
So
Able to let her hair down a little bit.
Let me ask you this, though. Have you received anything yet?
No.
Oh! I'm going to send an email after this interview. And
Rob, you know what, Rob?
You don't care
I'm not
anymore.
worried about it. I don't care. I don't want a fucking hat.
But do you want the NFT?
I would love an NFT.
Would you like to have the very first Micallef NFT?
I would love to have the very first Micallef NFT.
Well, just so you know, regardless of what you did or did not get, you're still in the drawing of the NFT.
Yeah.
Like, I think that is something that's badass because we all know, you know, I was instrumental in the first cigar NFT.
Yes.
With Atabey. I don't smoke Atabey. I mean, they don't offer them any place I go to smoke cigars except for one place. And those cigars are way out of my price range. You know what I mean? Like,
no, absolutely.
I don't think they're good enough to demand that price range.
No.
And if you disagree
I
with
agree.
me, that's fine. That's just how I feel.
I agree with you 100%.
Like I've smoked a couple that were always gifted to me. I never paid full price or whatever for Atabey, but it just knowing what the price point was when I had it, I was like, yeah, I wouldn't smoke these.
No. Like yesterday, I finally smoked the cigar I bought for when my son was born.
Well, I hope you know that all right, never mind. I'm not going to tell you what I sent you. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. But I had bought the Padron 50th anniversary cigar.
Oh, yeah. Now that cigar's worth that price point. You're not going to smoke them every day, but
no, I mean,
it's a celebratory cigar.
Yes. To me, the price I paid for it, I could justify.
Let me ask you this. What did you pay for it, if you don't mind me asking?
Because of the tobacco tax around here,
which is nothing.
It was $65 a cigar.
Oh, so it is something.
Yeah.
Okay. Because normally the MSRP is about $50 to $55. And you know what? I don't buy them all the time, but I've smoked a couple, and I'm like, I understand how much the price is, and I think that cigar is
Yeah.
up there in that value range.
Oh, absolutely. If I knew that the tax wasn't added to that cigar, I would have been disappointed paying $65 for it. But I know that it is because of the taxes.
Yeah,
That
because
go
you're used
with
to
it.
that.
Yes.
That sucks. 'Cause
So-
so, like, just not very far from you in Pennsylvania, they have 0 tax on cigars.
Right. And like in Connecticut, there is, I believe it is a 50% tax on cigars, but it cannot exceed 1 cent.
Oh, yeah. So you're good. So, in
Right.
Texas, our cigar tax is 1 cent on a cigar.
Yeah.
I don't know what that percentage is, but I think we're doing pretty good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, let me ask you one last question before we wrap up because we've been going a while. Where would you like to see Cigar Talk go?
I love how the show's set up. You good?
I was fucking with my lighter and the cap broke off, and there's a spring that broke off from the cap, and that little cap just punctured my thumb. But I'm good. I'm not like needing a nurse or anything.
All right.
But where
Yeah.
would you like to see Cigar
So-
Talk go? Because we're not
I
done.
love what-
We're not done.
No.
Like,
No,
we're just figuring some shit out because it's like after 4.5 years, you're like, or actually, it really
what do
started
you
after
do?
4 years. It's like, you know what? I'm done talking about cigars as the main thing every week.
yeah.
We still smoke
It's like-
cigars, but let's do something.
Right. It's like, how do I keep people's attention to the show? What can I do to set me apart from everybody else? Now,
I thought what we might do is be a cigar podcast review show. Like, we listen to other cigar podcasts and be like, yeah, they suck. Yeah, that one sucks too.
listen to the fucking audio on this one. It sounds like you're talking to a fucking $2 microphone.
I mean, I don't like to talk about Bill White, but you know what I'm saying.
Right? But no, I like what you guys do. I think if you guys need to take a break, if you guys need to take a month, you got to let everybody know, hey, we need to take a month.
What you're saying is we need to improve our communication between us and our listeners.
Yes.
That's what
just
I hear.
Just so you have, like me, for instance, like I said right at the beginning, I've been listening to the show since
its
Brian
inception,
came on.
basically, yes.
Exactly.
Because the first 15 shows was just random shit.
Yeah. So I have my habits. Monday morning when I go into work.
So you'd
I
like
check
to
to
have a
see-
show every Monday morning. That's what I'm hearing.
If you can do a show every Monday,
Well, if you're going to
great.
start doing
If
the
you do
audio
it-
editing, I can.
right. If you come out on Tuesdays, I'll wait till Tuesdays.
I
As long as-
really like Tuesdays best. Tuesday mornings
I
is
get
actually
it.
best because Monday I'm off work. So there's a
Yeah,
lot of
I
times we
get it.
do the show on Mondays.
Right. No. And so, like, we understand that. If you could just it'd be helpful for everybody if you could just be more transparent about,
And not just shutting
Not-
down and not talking about it.
right.
Because that's
like,
a lot what I've done.
Right.
That's
Because I know.
my initial like survival mode is just to like clam
just
up.
shut down.
Clam
Shut
up.
down.
I know
Suck
what
it
I'm
up
doing.
and deal with it.
I know what I'm doing, but I don't need everybody
Right.
else to know what I'm doing.
Right. Just suck it up and deal with it.
Right, and that's
So,
really
like-
not the best way. We all
No,
know that.
it's not healthy.
Because we have a lot of
And-
really good supporters. Like,
Right.
I don't know of another show that has the quality of supporters that we have. Like, I know,
Exactly.
like Jax. I can ask that dude a question. Zeka, I can ask that dude a question.
Yeah.
Groot. You know, the list goes
Right.
on and on about, hey, can I get some real feedback? And you,
Exactly.
of course, you know I value your. I've always valued your feedback.
So, like, I know you and I have talked in over the last 6 months. You've definitely had your fair share of shit to deal with. I understood that. Like, okay, he's dealing with some shit. All right, things are going to be a little bit spotty. So,
And then you were like, well, I didn't know you were just going to start fucking off, Rob.
right, exactly. Like, all right, Rob. All right, it's been such and such a time. Like, okay,
It's been
where's
months.
my episode?
It's been
Where's my
months.
new episode?
It's been months and months now. All right, dude, are you going to get your shit together, or is this? Well, I mean, and I've heard this. A lot of guys emailed me and was like, "Hey, man, is Cigar Talk over?"
Yeah.
They didn't know,
So-
which
No, and-
immediately tells me I did a shitty job of letting the people who listen to this show what's going on.
Right. So, and then, as I can't stress enough, if you guys are listening, if you join the Discord server,
It's a whole new experience.
it's a whole new experience because you have your regulars in the Discord. Now, there's 60 something members in right now, or 70 something members.
And Adam is one of the
And-
people in charge of kicking people out. if
I'm
they-
not right now, Rob.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I canceled the Patreon. So,
well, you know what? Hang on a
Wait.
minute. Let me fix that shit right quick.
so even though I signed back up, I still don't have all my privileges back.
You know what? I don't actually manually do that shit. So
I know, because you have the Patreon bot.
right. So you know what? You are back in. I just see that. I just gave you all the axe handles that you had before. But that
I like
saying
that.
though is Adam has been instrumental in, like, someone's in the Discord and they don't contribute in any way at all in 60 days, you're out.
Or if
Or
you
you're-
hop
or
in
you're- or
the
you're-
first 30 days
Or you're
and
a
you don't do
producer.
anything.
Or you're a producer, because producers don't get kicked out.
I got to remember that about producers.
Yes, producers do not get kicked out.
Because the only one you ever told me was safe was Patrick.
Patrick is safe. Deb, she's safe. I saw Deb joined again the other day, and I was like, "All right, you know what? Let's make her safe." Because you know what?
Yeah.
This is her third year of being a producer.
Is it?
Third year, like, that's impressive. I'm like, yeah, Deb is untouchable. So for all of you who are in charge of kicking people out, Deb is untouchable now.
Mike, Deb is untouchable.
Yeah. So, hey, how
Well-
did you like the last T-shirt for the producer level? The crew.
The crew. That's the
And it had
that's the one that
regular
was
logo.
really. That's the one that was
soft.
really soft. I love that
Yeah,
shirt.
Me too.
I
dude.
love that shirt.
That tri-blend cotton polyester, whatever the hell they do, is like magic, and it feels so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
It's like I can tell
I
by
love
your
that.
look on your face, I'm starting to feel a little uncomfortable.
It feels really nice in this area right here.
Yeah, it's like even when my nipples are hard, it's still soft.
Right? It doesn't feel like I got razor blades dragging against them anymore.
Dude, don't you love soft T-shirts?
Oh my god, yeah. Being a fat kid, do you realize how hard it is to find soft t-shirts?
I do. Like, I don't have it on right now, but one of my very favorite T-shirts of all times, I bought at Sam's. And it's a picture of a deer. No, I'm sorry. It's a picture of a bear with antlers. And it says, "This is my spirit animal," which is beer. You know, bear and deer. But it's not so much of what it says. It's that same tri-blend material that makes it just like it starts out
Like-
super soft. But then as you wear it throughout the years, it just gets softer.
It's softer.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I don't even care about what the shirt says, even though it's kind of cool being my bear is a spiritual animal. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, that is the most comfortable shirt I own.
Oh, absolutely.
So when
Absolutely.
I pulled the tag up on that one and was like, well, what makes this shirt so special? And I saw the blend and I was like, oh, that's what we're going to start making our shirts out of, because I want a shirt that you could wear for eternity.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's where
And
we
that is
are.
definitely. So yeah, my big thing with you, Rob, is just be as transparent as you can.
I
I
you know
understand.
what's the funny thing is, I always am transparent when I'm talking. But when
Yes.
I'm not transparent is when I shut down.
Yeah.
And I've shut down. You saw that over the last 6 months.
Yeah.
I really did shut down. Like things were just not going my way, and life threw me some curveballs, and I'm a shitty batter, okay? I'm going to tell you, I'm a shitty batter. That's why I didn't play pro ball. I didn't play college ball. I didn't play high school ball because I was a shitty batter.
Yeah. So like, and then as far as like topics for the show,
Yes.
I know I'm one of the oddballs out. I am not a sports guy, but I understand that this is cigar talk.
And
You
some
talk about
people,
things you would talk.
some people are interested in sports shit,
Absolutely.
and some
So
people are not.
I'm not taking that away from the people who, the majority of the listeners who would listen to sports talk.
And we're
So,
really not.
but-
If you think about it, we're not really even a sports
No,
type
you only talk.
show because we only talk about a very limited amount of teams.
Right, you talk, and mostly you talk about
Cowboys
football.
and 49ers. 49ers suck, and the Cowboys suck, and a lot of people drink the Kool-Aid and think they're going to win the Super Bowl every year. That's not me. But I am excited about this new kid named Deuce. Like, he is 5'5" and is an amazing player. And so, you know what? Until we lose the next playoff game, hopefully, that's what we have to look forward to. You know what I mean? I don't expect us to win the Super Bowl. We're never going to win another Super Bowl as long as Jerry Jones is at the helm. That's my personal feelings. But, you know, when you get into
But you can
room,
hope.
Yeah. And when you get into a room of Cowboy fans, they're like, oh, this is our year. And I'm like, yeah. They've been saying that for the last 27 years.
Since the last Super Bowl they won.
Yeah, which was in 1995.
But you have to give Jones this. Now, I say I don't like talking sports and shit, but he is a great merchandiser.
Oh, he's a better merchandiser than he is a owner of a football team.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Cowboys are number one in selling merchandise, and they have been for the last 25 years. So give the dude credit there, but
Oh, absolutely.
take your hand off the wheel of the team.
But,
You know,
yeah.
that's just my feeling as a Cowboys fan. And anybody that wants to shit on me for being a Cowboy fan, you're wasting your time. I already feel shit on because I'm a Cowboys fan. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're a Cowboy. Yep, that's all we need to know. I fucking whatever. So, well, hey, man, we're going to wrap up because we've done a long segment. In fact, what I've realized while we've done this segment is this is not even an interview portion. This is just a standalone show.
Sounds good to me, Rob.
Big Adam. That's the name of the show, Big Adam.
Big
Because
Adam
you
and
know
mental
what?
health issues.
For being as young as you are, you impress me with your level of maturity.
You know, I think a lot of that has to deal with my parents had my two younger siblings, and my older
You
brother
had to
and
grow up. You had to grow up.
my parents worked second and third shift. So that was my older brother and I had to take care of my younger brother and sister. So I had to learn everything I know, I had to learn on the fly.
And that
And
pretty much represents my entire life.
yeah, and the shit that I went through as a kid, I don't want my kid to go through.
And you know what? You're making it a better world for your kid.
Right, exactly. And I think that's any parent's dream, is just to hope your kid has a better life than you did.
100%. But yeah, man. So, hey, thank you so much. This is going to be a standalone episode. We're not going to fit this in the middle of another show. Adam is I consider Adam a dear friend of mine. And
Likewise, Rob.
I don't take those friendships lightly. And so I'm just thankful that you were willing to put in, we've been on here now for a couple hours. And, you didn't be like, hey, all right, I'll do like 10 minutes. You were like, hey, I'm whatever. And so thank you for that.
It's nice to be able just to sit down and actually have a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we learned a lot. We told a lot. And I'm looking at shaping the show with the information that you gave me from here going forward. And when you say, hey, you want to do a little editing? Fuck yeah, I do. How about it, bro?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you so much, and we will talk to you real soon. Thank you for all the support you've always given us, man.
No problem, Rob. Anytime.